Hi there, welcome back. I'm Pam and we're in my kitchen again, where I share some of my favorite recipes with you, also recipes that have been frequently requested from friends and guests. And today I'd like to share with you my banana cake with browned butter frosting. Now, if you've never had browned butter frosting or browned butter anything, you're missing out and you're in for a treat. It is on the rich side, but there's just a thin coating over the cake, and it's really, you know what it tastes like? It tastes like Southern pralines, that little candy with the pecans in it. It kind of has that flavor, a brown sugar fudge kind of flavor. Anyway, it's really good on this banana cake. Now, if you don't like something as sweet, you can certainly make the layers of banana cake and just sprinkle some powdered sugar on it before you serve it. So let's get started. I'll show you how easy this is, and let's proceed. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our butter. It's unsalted, and I've let this soften to room temperature, which is not a problem in the summer. And then I'm going to add my sugar, and we're going to mix this together till it's creamed. All right, so this looks pretty creamy inside. We've just basically blended the sugar and the butter, and I'm going to pour my vanilla in. And I'm going to add eggs. There's 2 of them, but 1 at a time. Alrighty, so I'm going to scrape the sides of the bowl, and do be sure and add your eggs 1 at a time. If you dump eggs in all at once, sometimes they just get to looking like this curdly, slimy mess. So 1 egg at a time is very important. Alright, so there we go. I'm just going to blend what came off the sides. Okay, so I've got this blended nicely. And you don't have to overdo it. It doesn't have to whip for a long time. You just want all the ingredients well mixed together. Okay, so next we have dry ingredients: flour, salt, and baking soda. So just put those all in one small bowl. And I take a whisk and just get the 3 ingredients mixed together. Then set that aside. The next thing we're going to do, oh, excuse me. Forgot to grab my milk before we started. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add 2 bananas, and we're going to mash them. Now, as you can see, these are pretty small bananas. The recipe just says 2 bananas. I've had this recipe for several years. I typically use bigger bananas in this, so I'm going to take half of this one. But I prefer recipes that say use a ½ cup of mashed banana or a cup of mashed banana. This one didn't, just says 2 bananas. So make sure they're ripe, because ripe bananas have a lot more flavor, they're sweeter, and they mash up more easily. Cut off any ugly spots on the banana, which sometimes you find when you use an older banana. But these turned out to be quite nice. So we're going to mash them. I like to use a potato masher. You can use a fork on a flat plate. It works just as well. And you try to get most of the lumps out of it. I mean, really mash it so that you don't have lumpy banana. And a bigger bowl would probably have been more ideal, but this is working. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We've just got some mushy banana here, and I'm going to scrape it off of my potato masher. So I have milk and I have lemon juice. So I'm going to add the lemon juice to my banana, stir it in, and then I'm going to add the banana mixture to the milk. So at this point, we have 3 separate bowls of ingredients. We have our sugar and our eggs and our vanilla, and we have our dry ingredients, and now we have this bananas and milk and lemon juice. And what we're going to do is add these 2 things alternately to this, what's in the bowl here. Just a little bit of each, maybe 2 applications each. So let's get started. Just going to get this going on low. Sprinkle a little flour. Let that almost mix in. I'm going to turn it down. Then I'm going to add about 1/3 of this, maybe. That looks about okay. Then I'm going to add a little more of the flour mixture. It's not just flour, we've got the salt and the baking soda in there as well. Then I'm going to add about half of what's left of that. I'm going to add some more flour. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the flour in there. Let that mix in till it's almost mixed so you don't see dry flour. And then I'm going to add the rest of the milk, banana, and lemon juice. Now we're going to turn it off. It's almost blended, but it needs some more blending. But we're going to scrape our bowl. Make sure you don't have any dry stuff sitting around the bottom of the bowl. That's not good. And I'm going to clean that off a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfectly done. Whoops, there it is. Okay, going to put it back down. Oh, there's a little bit of flour on the top of the beater there. I let this mix for 30 seconds to a minute, not very long. While that's mixing, I've got my 2 pans. These happen to be 9-inch. I think they work best. 8-inch, if that's all you have, is fine. It might just come up a little bit when it's baking, and you may look at it and get a little worried that it's going to go over. It won't. But I like the 9-inch. Okay, so that is mixed. Now those pans, I grease the bottom. I cut out my parchment paper. You know I'm in the habit of doing that every time I make a cake. And I line the bottom, just the bottom, with parchment. And then I laid the parchment down, and then I sprayed the whole pan, the bottom and the sides, with my cooking spray. So this is what I have. This is what the mixture looks like. And we're simply going to divide this between the 2 pans. Just give it a stir, get the stuff off the sides. We're going to scoop it in here. We're going to bake it at 350 for about 30 minutes, I believe. I'll have to take a look at that again. But of course, the recipes will be under the video to the right of the title. I had a note on my pan, on my recipe, use a 9-inch pan. So there must be a good reason why I wrote that. But looking at it here, it looks like, gee, I could have fit this into an 8-inch pan. But I think this is going to work just fine. I've made this several times, and usually I make notes to myself when I prefer to do one thing or another. So, but anyway, like I said, if you don't have a 9-inch, you can use an 8-inch. I wouldn't go smaller than that, though. And again, this is not a banana bread. Banana breads are denser. You know, you cook them in a loaf pan and they're just more firm. This is a banana cake and it's lighter and fluffier. So I'm going to put these in the oven. I'm going to bake them. I'll take them out. I'll let them cool. And when they're cool, we'll come back and we'll frost them. And you will watch me make the brown butter frosting. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, we're back. We've baked the cakes and I have melted butter and I have actually browned it in my pan. As you can see, little brown bits on the bottom. It's not burned. You don't want to burn it, but you certainly want to get the butter browned. So it's all ready and we're going to make the frosting. All right, so we've got our butter melted and browned and we are going to add our powdered sugar. Just stir it in with a wooden spoon and it's going to be kind of lumpy. We're going to add some milk and some vanilla, and we're going to use our mixer to get this properly combined. Keep a little extra milk on hand, maybe another tablespoon, just in case it looks a little too thick to you. If you don't measure your powdered sugar out absolutely perfectly, then sometimes you end up with a little more sugar and your mixture's a little dry. So I think that I could use some more milk, so I'm going to add some. Alrighty. So as you can see, I took my cake out of the pan and a little tiny bit, in spite of the parchment paper, it's still stuck. Maybe I didn't have enough spray, but it's fine. Those things happen and it's good that they do, so you can see if that happens to you, not to worry too much about it. This sets up really fast. So set it on the cake, spread it quickly, thin layer, it's very rich. Alrighty, going to get the other piece of cake and just, the other layer, excuse me, set it down. Center it. This is thick. This is, like I said, it's fudgy, you know, it's kind of like a fudge consistency. And honestly, if I left it in the pan to cool, it would resemble, you know, a thick candy-like. So just spread it. I don't frost the sides typically. I'd have to make a little more frosting to do that, or just really thin it out. So I just do the top. Like I said, it's very rich. You can take some chopped walnuts or pecans, which would be very complimentary to this cake. You could actually put them in the cake if you want to, or sprinkle some on top when you're done. But this is the cake. It's not fancy, but it tastes incredible. And I'm not going to cut into it because I'll tell you why. This cake is one of those cakes, like my chocolate cake, that if you wait and you serve it tomorrow or even the next day, the flavors have just melded together and it's really better. It's going to be yummy today. My family's going to cut into it for sure. And again, if you want to frost the sides of the cake, just double the frosting recipe. And I will be sure to provide that for you. Alrighty, we'll see you next time. Bye.